Oh, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. Thank you so much for being here today. It's a pleasure to have this opportunity to share my journey and insights from my time as a Fulbright Scholar in Indonesia. Before I begin, I really want to thank the library for coordinating and also organizing this event. Okay. For those of you who are not very familiar with my background, my name is Jaeshil Kim, and I'm a linguist. And I'm a linguistics professor here at Liberty since 2007. Yeah, I always get confused with numbers. Okay. So in addition to my work here at Liberty, actually I've spent over 20 years in Southeast Asia, involved in missions and educational development. So during this time, I've had a privilege of working across cultural context and supporting language and educational initiatives. Earlier this year, from mid-January to the end of July, I had the privilege to serve as a Fulbright Scholar in Indonesia. This experience actually opened my eyes so much about the Muslim communities and cultural exchange and also my own faith. So I hope that today's talk will provide you with some insights into cross-cultural engagement, especially with Muslim communities, and encourages some of you who are considering to apply for Fulbright. The title of today's talk is Unity in Diversity, a tale of two nations through the eyes of a Fulbright Scholar. So unity in diversity is actually the national motto of Indonesia. So they call it Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. It's not Indonesian, but it's actually in Old Javanese. It's a beautiful concept that embraces Indonesia's vast diversity, ethnic, religious, and also cultural, while underscoring unity as one nation. So the unity diversity ideal is actually, you guys are not that, unfamiliar with this concept, because the traditional national motto of this country is also unity in diversity. Okay. So today I will share my experiences living in Indonesia, highlighting three key aspects. So the first one is Indonesia's unity in diversity and how that plays out in everyday Indonesian life. And secondly, I also want to talk about the unexpected opportunities of the Fulbright program and how it opens up expected and also unexpected relationships and opportunities. And thirdly, I also want to share the experience of living as a Christian in Muslim communities. Okay, so building genuine relationships and earning trust actually opened many doors to meaningful connections in ways I hadn't anticipated. All right, so before we talk about this Indonesian thing, I think I need to tell you how I got introduced to Fulbright Scholarship. Actually, my introduction to Fulbright Scholarship came nearly 30 years ago in South Korea. I was born and raised in South Korea, and I actually lived in that country until I became 24 years old. Okay, so in South Korea, when I was a sophomore college student majoring in English literature, our university actually hosted a Fulbright Scholar. His name is Dr. Russell Stubbles. He taught one of my courses, and he was an excellent professor, passionate and knowledgeable. And his impact actually extended beyond the classroom. And I admired his commitment, and I wanted to be like him. So 2 years later, I came to the United States as a graduate student studying linguistics. And although I hadn't planned to live here permanently, I eventually did, and becoming a naturalized U.S. citizen in 2017. So when I gained my citizenship, I realized that, number one, I could vote. Okay. Number two, I could apply for the Fulbright U.S. scholarship. So I started researching the Fulbright program, attending workshops, and meeting with Dr. Udebong, and also exploring the application process. It took several years, actually, to refine my focus and identify how I could uniquely contribute. It was not an easy process, but it was entirely worth it. After being notified as the finalist in March 2023, I finally arrived in Indonesia in mid-January this year. And following a 2-day orientation at the Fulbright head office in Jakarta, I continued to Surabaya, where the university, Airlangga University is. Well, actually, let me show here. This is Indonesia, right? Indonesia map, okay? So over here, that's the Java Island, okay? And as you guys know, Jakarta is the capital city of Indonesia. And the place where I based was here, Surabaya, okay? So Surabaya is the second largest city in Indonesia. And then Airlangga University, that was the place that I taught, and that university hosted me, and that is located in that city, Surabaya, Indonesia. Okay, so when I got there, I'm going to be honest, okay, I actually felt like a fish out of water, okay. Surabaya was far more Islamic than I had expected. Everywhere I turned, there was a mosque or mushola, the small prayer place. And 5 times a day, the azan, which is the call to prayer, filled the air. The first call to prayer, along with the recitation of the Quran, it started around 3:30 a.m. And sometimes it lasted more than 2 hours. Okay. So I felt overwhelmed at first. For any of you who are interested in reaching out to Muslim communities, I believe there is a much to learn from Indonesia's approach to diversity and from how God works through everyday interaction. When you're willing to share your life openly and authentically. I encourage you guys to think about how these insights might apply in your own life, whether here in the United States or elsewhere. To begin, let us look closely at Indonesia. Actually here, okay. So Indonesia is an archipelago, okay. It comprises more than 17,000 islands. Okay. And you can see that there are 5 major islands. The far left, we have Sumatra. So Sumatra is the largest island in Indonesia. Okay. And then right next to it, we have Kalimantan, also known as Borneo. Okay. So Kalimantan Island is shared with Malaysia and also Brunei. Right next to it, this interesting looking island is Sulawesi. Okay? Sulawesi is well known to have a very distinct cultural practices and also very interesting biodiversity. Okay? And then this part, the west side of New Guinea belongs to Indonesia, and we call this region as Papua. And then over here, that's Java. Okay, So Java Island, well, size-wise, it's not that big, okay, compared to other major islands of Indonesia, but it's the most populous island. So in this island, Java, okay, more than 56% of Indonesians live here on this island, Java, okay? So the density of this island is incredible, okay? So Jakarta is located on Java, and also the city that I worked in also located on Java, okay? So I already told you, 17,000 islands. Actually, out of 17,000 islands, about 6,000 islands are inhabited. Others are not, So, and also it's a really populous country. It's a country of over 279 million people. So it is a fourth, most populous country in the world after China, India, and the United States. And ethnically and linguistically, it's also a very, very diverse country. So we find about 1,300 distinct people groups, and also around 700 different languages. They're not dialects; they're languages. And also, as many of you guys know, it is the most populous Muslim country. Some of you guys, just assume that Indonesia is a Muslim country, Muslim state, but that is not correct. Indonesia is actually a secular state with the most populous Muslim population, okay, Muslim people. Okay, so about 87% of Indonesians, they identify themselves as Muslims. Okay. And for Christianity, we have about 7 to 8%, okay, of Indonesian people, they identify as Christians. And then Roman Catholics, about 3%. So if you put these numbers together, then we can say that about 10% of Indonesians are, Christians. Okay. Interestingly, Indonesian government acknowledges 6 different religions, which are, of course, Islam, okay, and Christianity, which includes Protestantism and Roman Catholicism, and then Hinduism, Buddhism, and recently they added Confucianism. Okay. So these are 6 different, the government-approved religions. So if you look at the Indonesian person's ID card, you're gonna find that you have to check one of the 6 religions. Okay. So what if you're an atheist? Atheism is not an option. So whether you like it or not, you have to choose one of the 6 religions. Okay. So it is a very religious country. Okay. All right. So I want to talk about why I chose Unity in Diversity as the title of this talk. Okay, so I'm going to show these 2 national symbols of Indonesia and the US. So on the right side, what you're seeing here is the coat of arms of Indonesia. It's called the Garuda Pancasila. Okay, Garuda refers to this bird, this mythical bird-like creature. That is the national bird of Indonesia. Not sure whether you have had any chance to fly their national, plane. It's called Garuda Airlines. Okay. So anyway, that's Garuda Pancasila, and you can see that the Garuda is actually holding this ribbon, which says Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, which literally means unity in diversity. And it is not in Indonesian, but actually it's in Old Javanese. Okay. On the right side, you're seeing the Great Seal of the US, right? And let me ask you a question. What is the current national motto of the US? What is the national motto of the US? In God we trust. So that's the national motto. But actually, before 1956, the Congress actually officially approved this national motto. But before then, our national motto was E pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. So unity in diversity, in a sense, is shared with these two countries. And I thought this is, very interesting. Indonesia and the US are very different countries, but their national ideals are almost the same. So I don't know whether you had a chance to look at the backside of our coins. All our coins on the backside, you're going to find this, E pluribus unum. Okay. And also some of our dollar bills also carry this, traditional national motto. Okay. All right. So in Indonesia, this unity and diversity is very evident in daily interactions. Okay. And I found that they do not hold this, ideal just, in abstractly, but actually they live that national motto out in everyday lives. Okay. So, for example, during major religious holidays like Idul Fitri it marks the end of Ramadan. And I think Idul Fitri is another name for that is the festival of breaking the fast. Okay. So people from various religious backgrounds, we just come together and share the meals and exchange well wishes. And when Christian holidays like Easter arrive, then the same spirit of inclusivity is also reciprocated. All right, so let me show you. All right, so this is the university that I was based. Okay. It's called the Universitas Airlangga. So, they put the noun first and then the modifier comes after it. So in our way, it should be pronounced as Airlangga University. Okay. So here's the view of the university. It's actually a beautiful place. Okay. So in institutions like this, and in short, we call the Airlangga University UNAIR. Okay. So institutions like UNAIR, inclusivity is actually very emphasized. Students from diverse cultural and religious backgrounds, we work together harmoniously in embodying the shared goal of progress and unity. So my time at UNAIR, it actually allowed me to see this motto, unity, diversity, in action daily. In our communal office, by the way, when I came to UNAIR for the first time, I was a bit taken aback, finding out that the faculty members, we do not have any, private offices. Okay, so when I got there and then asked my, friend, so where's my office? And he said, oh, well, actually, technically, you do not have an office. So I couldn't understand what he meant by it. So when he, led me to the office, the department office, I found that it's actually pretty spacious, room, which is shared by 25 professors and 3 staff members. Okay. And I was just given a desk and a chair. So I didn't know what to do with that. Here we have a privacy, but there we just don't have a privacy. But the whole department, whole office is always filled with, interactions and laughter. It was just like every day it was just hustle and bustle. Okay. So it took some time for me to get used to it. Okay. So I want to reflect briefly on how Indonesia's unity in diversity compares to the concept in the United States. We also value diversity and also unity. And people, usually use the analogies like melting pot or salad bowl. But I think, the unity and diversity that I experienced in this country as an international student was a bit different from the unity and diversity that I experienced as a Fulbright Scholar in Indonesia. Because people here, are encouraged to bring unique perspectives and heritage and celebrating individuality. However, Indonesia's unity, I think it focuses on finding common grounds and shared goals within diversity. So I think they put more emphasis on unity than diversity. But here in the States, I think we put more emphasis on diversity rather than unity. So while Americans may discuss diversity in terms of individual rights and self-expression, I think Indonesians seem to prioritize community and harmony and blending individual identities to serve as a collective purpose. Through my Fulbright experience, I gained a deep appreciation for Indonesia's approach to unity. And that is a commitment to respect, tolerance, and shared humanity. And this approach reminded me that diversity doesn't have to mean separation. And unity doesn't require uniformity. It's a beautiful model, and showing that deeper unity can be achieved by respecting and celebrating our differences. And one of the most impactful aspects of communal life in Indonesia was actually sharing food. So when I got there, I told you, didn't have I was not assigned a, separate office, but, we shared the office together. One striking thing that I found there was professors, actually, they bring their lunch. Sometimes they just, buy their lunch from the canteen. It's like our dining hall. And they simply share their lunch together. It was part of their everyday routine. And I was, invited to join them. And at first, I didn't know how to, okay? So I observed them every day, and I realized that it is part of their culture. So I mustered my courage and started joining their, lunch meetings. And I found that that was actually one of the best ways to bond and build relationship with my colleagues. So over time, basically, I stopped feeling like an outsider. And my colleagues, they started treating me like family. And I felt a mutual warmth growing. And I remember actually one moment in particular when a colleague told me that I was one of them. It was a simple comment, but incredibly meaningful comment because it signified acceptance. It's not because of any project or any impressive lectures that I gave, but it's all because of because I shared life with them day by day. I believe that trust opened the door to a new level of connection. My colleagues began to confide in me, seeking advice and support. There's one instructor who taught syntax and morphology. She actually came to my desk. She asked for help. And she said, can you look at this teaching materials and syllabus? And also she actually brought some questions that she herself was not able to, handle. And she said, she doesn't feel embarrassed or ashamed anymore to share her weaknesses because I am one of them. So they started treating me like a family, just one of them, not as a visiting scholar. That was a really priceless moment. So this experience showed me the importance of building genuine relationships before trying to make any impact. So through these experiences, I came to understand that unity in diversity is not just about tolerating differences, it's actually celebrating differences. And by engaging in their communal culture, I actually found a place, not by trying to change or impress anyone, but by just showing up, listening, and allowing myself to be welcomed and loved in their way. And I think this is the core of unity and diversity, finding common ground through shared life, and even when, coming from differences, different backgrounds. Actually, it was a transformative experience that reshaped my perspective of diversity and unity, both in Indonesia and back home. All right, so, by the way, when I got to the UNAIR, that university, everywhere you turn, you find cats, okay? The Muslims, they love cats, but they hate dogs. They think dogs are dirty animals, and then cats are, sacred animals. So they love cats. And the students, they take care of cats. Cats are everywhere. Sometimes I found the cats like sitting on the, dining table in a canteen. Nobody shoo them away. Okay? So they're cat lovers. Okay. So every day I just took some pictures of the cat. Okay. Yeah, as I told you, the food was their love language. Okay. So these are my colleagues. That's the small kitchen that we had in our office. Okay. So it's our whatever lunch. A lot of nice, food. Okay. So let me talk about some great opportunities that Fulbright can give us. So one of the greatest rewards of the Fulbright Scholarship is actually the doors that it opens. And both in expected and also unexpected ways. I think Fulbright Scholarship is more than just a funding or a title, but it's an entryway into experiences and relationships that transform our understanding of the country and its people, even ourselves. The Fulbright program was created with a simple and a profound mission. And here I copied their mission statement. It says, it's for creating mutual understanding and support friendly and peaceful relations between the people of the United States and the people of other countries. So this mission of promoting peace through cultural exchange, it remains essential. As I discovered in Indonesia, the program's impact goes far beyond the academic research. It is actually about building bridges, creating connections that might never happen otherwise. Through Fulbright, I had opportunities that I never imagined, including meetings with university leaders, government officials, and the scholars of many different disciplines. So, So these connections actually helped me understand the Indonesian higher education and discuss ways that I could contribute meaningfully. Beyond the university, the Fulbright Scholarship actually facilitated connections with diplomats at the American Embassy in Jakarta and also the U.S. Consulate in Surabaya. So at embassy and also consulate events, I met officials dedicated to fostering the positive U.S.-Indonesian relations, gaining a new perspective on how diplomacy and education intersect. So Fulbright also connected me to scholars across Indonesia in fields such as politics, education, and linguistics. And this program truly encourages collaboration. So I was not merely meeting people, but actually I was working alongside them. I engaged with Indonesian linguists, discussing language policy, education, and the role of language within society, which actually challenged me to think about linguistics from new perspectives. So one especially valuable opportunity was meeting linguistics professors specializing in Indonesian and also regional languages. I already told you there are 700 different languages, in current use in Indonesia. And together, these professors and field linguists in Indonesia, we discussed Indonesia's linguistic diversity and its impact on educational policies, practices, leading to rich and thought-provoking conversations. So looking back, I see that Fulbright is truly a catalyst, bringing together people from different fields, cultures, and belief systems to create something greater than the sum of its parts. So whether meeting government officials, embassy staff, university leaders, or academic colleagues, these interactions truly broadened my perspectives and forged a network of relationships that I couldn't have built by myself. So this is the unique power of Fulbright. It is not just about you contribute to a country, but also it's about you can, gain from it. The friendships, professional collaborations, and cultural insights that I gained in Indonesia as a Fulbright Scholar is truly a testament to Fulbright's vision of fostering a more interconnected and understanding world. For anyone considering a Fulbright or similar opportunity, I wholeheartedly encourage you to take this step. It's not just a scholarship, it's a life-changing experience that connects you with people passionate about teaching, learning, and making a difference in the world. Okay. All right. Then I really want to talk about this unexpected collaboration that I never imagined before I went to Indonesia. So beyond these official connections, Fulbright also can foster some unexpected academic collaborations. So one example is a pilot course that I co-taught at the University of Airlangga in Surabaya. So the title of the course is a virtual language learning, virtual language teaching and assessment. This was a brand new initiative for UNAIR. When the other professor, Dr. David Sego, approached me to co-teach this course, I was excited but apprehensive. I'm a linguistics professor. I know something about linguistics and language teaching, but I didn't know much about virtual reality. So I was a bit hesitant, but I decided to just grab the chance because I knew that it's going to be a unique opportunity to expand my knowledge and also work closely with students in a collaborative and hands-on environment. So after announcing the course, we were actually very surprised by over 100 student enrollments. Expecting only 20 to 30 students, this overwhelming interest highlighted the excitement surrounding virtual language teaching in Indonesia. So by managing such a large class, as you can imagine, it's really big challenge, But on top of that, in the first week of the course, I found out that we didn't have any VR headsets. Okay. Yep, that can happen in Indonesia. Okay. So when I found out that we don't have any VR headsets, and how can we teach this VR, virtual reality-based language teaching and assessment? So I asked the professor who invited me to teach this course, how can we do that? And he said, somehow we'll manage it. I was not very convinced. So I started looking for ways to resolve this obstacle. And then I got reminded that, this small-scale funding opportunity that I learned about at that 2-day, Fulbright orientation in Jakarta. And the name of the funding is called the Fulbright Engagement Fund. It basically supports the projects that promote cultural and academic exchange. And I realized that that is a perfect way to use this money, right? So I started writing up this proposal, and my proposal emphasized how this course would benefit my students and also the university. Well, thankfully, the proposal got accepted. And they actually released the fund just 2 days after that acceptance. Yeah, it was very, very quick. Okay. So with this $2,000 grant money from Fulbright, we were able to purchase 3 VR headsets. So one, I think we got the MetaQuest 3, the latest version, and then we got 2 old versions of the MetaQuest 2. Okay. So we got these 3 VR headsets, and also we subscribed to these 2 virtual reality language learning, platforms like Mondly and ImmerseMe. Okay. So although we had only 3 headsets, these allowed us to begin hands-on VR reality activities. So to accommodate this large class size, as you can see, probably, we're having some fun in classes. Okay. My students in that class, Cheers. Students. So to accommodate the large class size, students actually took turns using the headsets in groups and giving each one a chance to experience VR. And this challenge actually became a creative exercise as students learned to collaborate in new ways, in new and creative ways, often discussing and planning the VR content before using the equipment. And this resilience and the adaptability were truly inspiring to me. Well, this course actually culminated in a final project where students actually created VR content for language teaching. Well, it was not my idea. It was the other, professor's idea. At first, I thought it's gonna be impossible. How can you create, VR contents for teaching? This is a pilot course, and the students are not that familiar with this, VR even concept. So I highly doubted, but actually the result surprised and impressed me. The students actually designed the quite immersive environments for practicing conversational skills and the vocabulary, cultural scenarios, and demonstrating their creativity. So let me show you. Yeah, the students are giving presentations about their, final project. Exactly. Another picture. Yeah, and then we took a picture, after the final presentation in front of the, the building, the school building. I just feel so proud of them. So this experience not only changed my approach to language learning or teaching, also reminded me of the potential within young students, young people like you guys, when given the opportunity. So co-teaching this VR course was a highlight of my Fulbright experience, emphasizing the importance of collaboration and flexibility. It underscored the purpose of Fulbright, not only academic exchange, but fostering real connections, mutual learning, and cross-cultural bridges. So that's how a pilot VR course, initially full of obstacles, became a profound success and a memorable part of my time in Indonesia. It's actually a testament to what can be achieved through partnership, persistence, and also willingness to step out of your comfort zones. Reflecting on my time as a Fulbright Scholar in Indonesia, I can honestly say it transformed my perspective, personally, professionally, and also spiritually. Initially, I had my own expectations and goals for this experience. And many of my projects and courses that I carefully crafted, I had to give them up because they were not reflecting their reality at the school. And it was a hard, decision. But I'm glad I made that decision. As I immersed myself in the culture, it truly formed genuine connections and adapted to the unexpected. And I realized the journey was more than being open, it was not about me, but, this journey led me to the Lord, to God, more closely, because God planned something greater than I expected. Another key lesson was the importance of living my faith authentically. I came to Surabaya kind of wondering how I shared my faith. But over time, I realized my Muslim colleagues and students were more interested in observing my actions, integrity, and character more than just any formal message. This experience reminded me of the wisdom in letting actions speak for themselves. Building trust became essential, and through daily interactions, sharing meals and respecting customs and joining in their lives, they gradually opened up, bringing me into deeper and more meaningful relationships. Letting go of my own agenda, as I told you, was very hard, but it was very critical. I came to Indonesia with carefully crafted projects and workshops, ready to make an impact. But when I noticed that my colleagues, when I told them, these are the things that I'm going to do, they said, you're welcome to do so. But I've started feeling that they're very polite, but their reactions were lukewarm. Okay. So that's why I decided to step back and focus on finding out what their real needs are. So I observed their routines and joined in their daily activities and learned about their priorities. And as I did this, they began sharing their real needs and their challenges, which allowed me to respond in a way that mattered more than my original plans. The relationships that I built became the most beautiful part of my Fulbright scholarship. These connections went beyond professional ties. We really became friends. Through these shared moments, I came to see that God works profoundly through relationships, showing me the value of letting others into my life, and caring for them in return. My time in Indonesia also taught me a deeper trust in God's timing and purpose. I arrived with clear goals, but God had different plans. By staying open, living my faith naturally and authentically, and being willing to meet people where they were, I believe I had a greater impact than I could have planned. My hope is that my experience encourages each of you to embrace cultural exchange, live your faith through actions, and trust in the quiet ways that God works through everyday interactions. Let us approach these diverse spaces with humility and love, allowing God to shine through our lives. As we near the end, I want to bring us back to the core of this talk, unity in diversity. My time in Indonesia taught me that unity does not mean uniformity. In a country as richly diverse as Indonesia, I saw a deep sense of belonging that transcends differences. Indonesians don't just acknowledge diversity, they actually live it out in every day. I believe that this is something we Americans can learn from. Our own diversity is a gift, and we can find strength in the unity we build through our differences. The Fulbright Scholarship was significant in making these experiences possible. Fulbright actually opened doors I couldn't have imagined. Introductions to university officials, diplomats, and colleagues. But more importantly, it allowed me to enter the lives of students, faculty, and everyday Indonesians in ways that transformed my own perspective and my faith. Fulbright is not just a program. As I told you, it's a bridge. It's a catalyst that fosters relationships, cultural understanding, and mutual respect. For those of you considering international opportunities like a Fulbright Scholarship, I highly recommend it. Living in a Muslim majority country as a Christian was not easy at all. But it was a powerful journey in faith. I learned that often the most effective witness is not in what we say, but in how we live. My colleagues and students came to me with their stories, concerns, and dreams because they saw someone who was simply present with them day by day. They didn't need me to preach. They needed me to care. I encourage each of you to consider this in your own outreach efforts. Sometimes we feel pressure to share our faith in a particular way, saying the right words in the right time. But I found that where we focus too much on how to share, we can overlook the power of simply being there, letting our lives speak. And trust is actually built gradually through small daily interactions. And when others trust you, they come to you, not only with their gifts, but with their concerns, hopes, struggles, and dreams. As you consider reaching out to Muslim communities or any community different from your own, please remember this. Let them see the real you. Live your faith openly, but don't feel the need to rush. Please build trust, invest time, and allow others to love you in their own ways. Just as you love them in your own way. God works through these genuine connections, often in unseen ways. In closing, I really encourage you guys to seek out experiences that challenge you and expand your understanding of the world. Whether through programs like a Fulbright or by engaging people around you, I hope you'll find the courage to step into diverse spaces and embrace the complexities that come with them. Please remember, as we live our faith in these spaces, God works through us, even in the smallest and simplest interactions. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that God works in unexpected ways. Sometimes we're simply called to be present and available. Let's trust that God will use our openness and love to make a difference. As one of my Indonesian colleagues told me, trust is built not in grand gestures, but in daily kindness. Let's carry this message forward as we seek to connect across cultures and faith. Thank you very much.